show. I'm one of the hosts, Frankie. The guy over there is Kyle. What's going on, Kyle? How's your day been?
Pretty good. Finally, shaking this illness I've been afflicted with for the past about 5-6 days or so, and it's unfortunately starting to get colder and colder. Winter is upon us.
What kind of illness you got?
I don't
I mean,
know.
what
It's
what are
like
we talking here? Are we talking like COVID-23 or something or
it
what?
was probably the most sick I'd been in several years. I'm going to be honest, and it was kind of like I
Mm.
woke up originally with like the worst headache of all time, and I probably had a headache, like a bad headache for a concurrent like 4 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a bad sore throat, and then ended up like basically ended up being just sore throat after that. And
Mm-hmm.
then every single day I would wake up expecting to be a little bit better, because I would feel better by like the end of the night of each day. And then the next thing you know, in the morning, I would wake up and feel just as bad as I did the day before. So I have no idea.
It sounds like an STD,
I
but
was,
you know.
I was spamming the Dayquil.
Spamming Dayquil.
Yeah, I think I went through because like you buy
That's
them
a.
from Walgreens and like
Mhm.
packs of like they come in like 32 pills, and you're not supposed to exceed like I think it's like 16 pills in like
Mhm.
24 hours. But I had gone through within like 5-6 days. Like I probably went through 64 pills.
Oh my gosh, dude. Bad vibes. And you're like 100 pounds, so that's probably like way more to you than it is to than where you're supposed to.
I would take them like
Oh,
every 4 hours, like it told me to. But
brought
yeah,
to
it
you by the
wasn't.
sounds of New York in the background.
Yes,
Very
yes.
nice. Dude, that's nuts. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
Um, hoping I don't get any of that. If I do have any of it, it will be killed by the amount of alcohol I will be consuming later to watch the UTSA game, baby. So anything inside, hopefully.
It's game day.
It's game
Oh
day.
my
Brings
gosh.
us to our first topic of the day, college football. Actually, you know what I want to talk about? I want to give a special shout out to the most frightening but most like awe-inspiring mascot in all of sports. The Western Kentucky Hilltopper. I don't know if he has a name, but let's give a shout out to Western Kentucky for upsetting Old Dominion. I think they were up like what 28-0 or something at halftime, something crazy.
Yeah, or
They
like
came back and won.
20 something to 7, something like that. And then they came back and huge play in overtime to basically take the lead 38-35.
Dude, I see that Hilltopper mascot in my sleep. If any viewers you don't know what I'm talking about, you just go Google it. It's I don't know who thought of it, who designed that thing, but it's frightening. But man, it is majestic. 38-35 in overtime against Old Dominion. Caden Veldkamp. So actually, get this. This guy I think was like the third string quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Their backup I think was like the nephew of the coach. But this guy, Caden Veldkamp, came off the bench. The guy has thrown like 2 passes in like one game against FAU or something. And he went for 40 and 52, 383 yards. He had 5 TDs, 1 interception. But not only that, he had 19 carries for 53 yards. He was a leading rusher. Absolutely balled out. This is one of the only games I think I've ever seen where both quarterbacks led passing and rushing yards. The Old Dominion quarterback also led their team for rushing yards.
Wow.
But man, it's bowl season. It is bowl season. Speaking of which, let's get to the UTSA preview. It's game day. The other awe-inspiring, majestic mascot, Rowdy the Roadrunner, will be in attendance in Frisco to cheer on UTSA as they take on Marshall the Thundering Herd. I don't know if each one of them is a Thundering Herd or if collectively they're a Thundering Herd.
Yeah, it's unclear. It's unclear.
Yeah. If any Marshall fans are out there listening, please let us know. But what do you think about the matchup today? I think UTSA, the last I checked, was like minus 11 and a half.
Yeah, minus 11.5, and I think like minus 330, I want to say, money line. Which I want to see if it's changed because of the whole news that's been going on about.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know or haven't heard, there's some late breaking news, some last minute dramatic dramatics, dramatics, whatever. Frank Harris may not play in the game today. There's a rumor going around that he either got hurt last night or that he got sick last night.
Yeah,
Maybe he
and
had the thing you had.
maybe. And the weird thing about it is that, like, even to this minute, like nobody is able to confirm it or not.
And
And
kickoff is in 4 hours.
I just checked; the odds did change to minus 290 for UTSA,
Mm.
still in favor. Now a -8 spread, so maybe they're catching on to it, but still there are no confirmed stories about the rumors right now. And it's actually kind of annoying because, like, well, number one, I'm in this like betting group chat, sports betting group chat that like is kind of run by like a bunch of like different mods. I like pay for the service, and there's like several thousand people in it. And I tipped off one of the mods to the stories about it because like I sent like the screenshot of like the rivals forum that's behind a paywall.
So is that like
And
equivalent to like editing Wikipedia pages?
maybe like kind of
Okay.
but I sent him like the whole thing about the story. I was like, check it out, like might want to lock in a like a Marshall money line hedge or something in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically sent it out. He sent that pick out in the chat and like didn't give me any credit about it. So I'm
Oh,
kind of
bad
pissed off
vibes.
about that.
Bad
and
vibes.
and like he didn't respond to my message at all either. He just kind of said like, I've got a big play for y'all tonight that I love for
Oh
college
no, he
football
did
tonight.
not.
And
Oh,
I was like, are you joking?
what a
So
loser.
I'm no longer, they're not
What?
in my
Yeah, yeah.
on my
I
nice
immediately
list.
knew it, man. I told you. It's like
Before
bad
Christmas
vibes.
of all times?
It's the holidays, dude. Maybe we'll start our own. I don't know. Maybe we'll start our own thing, and we'll call it college football bets.
I'd
I
be
don't know.
down.
But other than that, it looks like the only other player, potentially only other player who's not playing, obviously, is Trey Moore, who entered the transfer portal. No word if he is traveling with the team or not. I can't imagine. That would probably be pretty awkward. Um, Other than that, not much activity going on. Jeff Taylor
Yeah.
came out and said all the players are ready to go. Everybody's passing, getting 4.0s and whatnot.
Obviously,
Um,
Marshall does not have their starting quarterback in play, and they just secured Mitch Griffiths as a transfer from Wake Forest, as we spoke about in the last episode, but he'll obviously not be playing. So I guess even with the Frank Harris rumors, the sports books still favor UTSA, which is a good sign.
all right, so that's it for our preview for the UTSA game. We'll
You
be
can hear
saying
me.
prayers. We'll be saying prayers for Frank Harris tonight.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. Didn't want another technical difficulty again.
Unfortunately, I can still hear you. Anyway, so is that it for the college football? Should we move on to the NFL? Or is there anything else you
Uh,
want to talk about?
well, a couple of key transfers that were committed to UTSA recently. We have an offensive lineman who's a legit 4-star recruit. Jonah Miller from, what is it, Santa Rosa Junior College. He's a true 4-star JUCO commit, and we need that offensive line depth as we spoke about before because of the injury concerns that we've had for the past year and or two on the offensive line, like revolving door of injuries and non-injuries. And then we also secured a Texas Tech wide receiver transfer, JJ Sparkman, who is a 3-star recruit coming out of the class of 2020. Didn't get much run, I guess, at Texas Tech for whatever reason, but he's a 6'4", like 220-pound tall wide receiver. So it looks like a good prospect for us.
Nice. The other thing we have to keep an eye out on is the quarterback situation. I still have faith in Owen McCown, but it'd be nice to have a little competition. If we can grab some talent in the portal. I don't know if Eddie Lee Marburger is a guy. If he blossoms this year, that would be great. But
I don't think so. Me personally, like I just don't think he would be like a legit like competition for Owen McCown because like I don't think anybody in the coaching staff would see him as a legitimate option to go with to like lead us to a lot of good solid wins next year for me.
hey, ELM bulletin board material right here. Bulletin board material. Flip it. Listen to it every morning. Use this.
But if Frank Harris isn't playing tonight, this will go a long way tonight to see what McCown can do to lead us to victory, maybe. So it's a
his
good
last game, dude. He's got to play. He's got to play.
He's got
It's
to.
the only game too. I think it's the only other bowl game today. I don't think there's another bowl game today. It's going to be on ESPN. Definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, I will be consuming large amounts of alcohol tonight and enjoying this game. Frank Harris's last game in a storied collegiate career.
Drink responsibly, everybody. It's going to be a great one.
Mm-hmm. Get your DDs, get your Ubers, whatever you got to do. All right. NFL time. Is it too soon to talk about your Jets, or do you need some more time?
I think I can talk about it. It started out going into that Sunday matchup as a great outlook, as best as we possibly could have wanted it to be. Tyreek Hill was injured. They also had their starting center injured. So that was going to be barbecue chicken for Quinnen Williams all day long. And turns out wasn't enough to stop the Dolphins because even Jalen Waddle, he was injured on like the third play. And like he ended up coming back in, but he was out for at least a couple drives, I think. And we still lost to the Dolphins 30-0. Zach Wilson was not getting any sort of protection from the offensive line. Just before the first half, they pulled him. He's now in concussion protocol because he was just getting sacked all day long. I thought they were, picking potatoes out there because there were a whole lot of sacks. And other than that, we had Trevor Seaman come in. Didn't work.
Wait, what did you just say? Did you say picking potatoes?
The sacks potatoes.
Do you pick potatoes? Is that how that works? Okay, whatever.
Don't you pick potatoes?
I don't know. I don't know. I think they come from the ground.
Regardless, we got blown out 30-0. And
or is it a potato tree?
That is
or a potato bush?
Whatever. I think potato. Okay.
You were talking about Seaman. Something about Seaman.
Trevor Seaman taken out or basically thrown into the game. Didn't do a whole lot for us at all, as we didn't score any points. And it was just horrible to watch because it shut down any possibility of Rodgers coming back, any possibility of us making the playoffs. And it was just depressing. It was super depressing to watch. If there's anything on my wish list, we need an O-line because our O-line was not doing shit out there. They could not do anything for us. So that's all I have to say about that. Down bad.
Yeah, I was actually pretty excited because what we've been predicting, what could potentially have been in the script, is not going to happen. And that was Aaron Rodgers facing Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. That couldn't happen for two reasons, which we'll get into later. One, the Jets are just out. Two, the Cowboys got absolutely schwacked. But like I said, we'll get into that later. I'm happy we're not going to have to face Aaron Rodgers.
At least this year.
At least this year. Moving on. Cowboys. Absolutely schwacked against the Bills. Provided it's in one of the most hostile territories in all of sports in Buffalo. Dak Prescott just looked like a little boy out there. He did not look great. 31-10. I don't even know. 21 for 34, 134 yards and one interception. Tony Pollard had 52 yards. CeeDee Lamb had 53 yards. Just abysmal stats all the way around. James Cook absolutely cooked. 25 carries, 179 yards, and a TD. Josh Allen, I don't believe this. He only threw 15 times. Is that right?
Yeah, that's actually a true stat.
It's weird. 7 for 15, 94 yards, and 1 TD.
31-10 is much rougher than I would have expected it to be, especially for the Cowboys who were coming into this like very, very hot off the presses. And I just I have to say the Bills are the most cringe team that I can possibly lay my eyes
Why do
on
you say that? Why
in
are
the
you
entire
alienating?
history of the National Football League.
Why are you alienating all of our Buffalo listeners?
I
Why are
just
you saying that?
I don't like them. Like
Is it
it's not
Josh Allen's
enjoyable
smile?
for me to
Is it
watch.
Stephon Diggs? What is it?
I think Josh Allen pisses me off the most
Mm,
of all the people on the team.
mm-hmm,
Like I don't I'm not high on him at all.
mm-hmm.
Um and I just think that they play a very boring style of football and it's just not for me.
Yeah, it is super boring. It wasn't for the Cowboys either. Mike McCarthy just did not have an answer for him. They ran the ball down our throats. I don't know if you saw that one play where, I think, James Cook just got like stood up, and then the entire Buffalo Bills offensive line got behind him, and then he ended up getting like another freaking 15 yards or something, and
Yeah,
that
like
just set the tone for the game.
they were kind of just doing whatever they wanted to the Cowboys on the ground and
Mm-hmm.
it was unfortunate.
Yeah. Um. So what does that do for the playoff picture?
Well,
So it
it
it's
puts the
not good.
Bills in like a good position for them.
Yeah, it's good for them. Yeah.
They're 8-6 now going into it's not going to be too tough for them here moving forward as they have
Mm-hmm.
coming up the Chargers who are struggling mightily and then the Patriots and then they'll probably lose to the Dolphins for the last game of the season. But that would still put them at like 10-7. So they're going to be making the playoffs surely and we're going to be seeing the Bills probably lose in a Bills fashion against a Chiefs or a Ravens type of team, I'm sure, but I just didn't want to see them in the playoffs.
Chiefs are down bad too.
The Chiefs are down bad, but I'd trust them more to put it together than I trust the Bills.
Yeah, I would say that's true too. The Cowboys are 3-4 when they're away. You know the last time they lost at home? Let me give you a hint. It was week 1 of last season. They're 15-0
Wow.
in the last 15 games that they've had at home.
Wow.
So home field advantage is a very real thing going into the playoffs. And as of right now, we actually, because of the Eagles' loss to the Seahawks, we have I guess, home field advantage. We have the tiebreaker now, where as of right now, the Cowboys would be playing not only their first, but also their second game at home, presumably if they win and the 49ers make it all the way. If the Cowboys and 49ers meet in the NFC Championship game, that would be played in San Fran, which I'm
That's a little bit
dude,
rough.
this was a huge game that the Cowboys needed, man. It was like they would have kept pace with the 49ers, which we needed that, considering the 49ers are going into, well, they're playing at home, but they're playing the Ravens, another 11-3 team.
Ooh.
We needed to win this game. This was a must-win game.
For me, that's going to be game of the week to watch
Yep.
because the Ravens look great right now, and so do the 49ers. But that I'm just going to be really heavily enjoying seeing that. Speaking of
Well,
which,
anyway,
the Ravens did play the Jaguars, who looked ugly um, last week, and the Jaguars, since Trevor Lawrence's like injury scare, haven't looked the same. He hasn't looked comfortable. They haven't been getting it to or like relying enough on their big playmakers that are like usually that they get for like safe plays and everything to get them yardage. It seems like Trevor Lawrence is looking for the reads that are more downfield, which isn't really a good recipe for winning if you're trying to just play a methodical sustained drive.
Dude,
But they,
Trevor Lawrence is also playing with like half a brain.
well, yeah,
The
that's
dude
also
was like,
true.
I feel like he's been concussed for like the past 8 weeks, but
Yeah.
he was definitely concussed after the last game. I think they said
Versus
that he
the,
got injured in like one of the last few plays of the last drive.
right, right. And the Ravens, they just looked super, super dominant. Lamar Jackson, man, I love watching him. He he makes it look so easy to do like some really incredible things, like the way
Hmm.
he's able to escape the pocket pressure, and even like when a play looks completely broken down, like he just somehow gets it to one of his real key weapons out there for like a good like 15-yard first down or something like that. He can just they can move the ball at will basically because he just has that offense so down.
Which has to be absolutely nerve wracking for all the Baltimore fans watching your franchise player running the ball so much. Hey man, Dak used to be one of those guys, and now he's not anymore. Jalen Hurts used to be one of those guys.
But
But
Lamar
Lamar
has
Jackson is so quick.
he's
He's
got
so athletic.
athleticism like
Yeah.
like we've almost never seen before, and if we hadn't seen Michael Vick in the past. But
He's a running back and a quarterback in one.
yeah, it's so insane, so insane.
Dude, what's also
um
crazy, I said that I hadn't seen many games where the quarterback was the leader in passing and rushing. This was another game. Lamar Jackson led in passing and rushing. So did Trevor Lawrence. I didn't expect
mhm,
that.
mhm,
He ran for a whole 41 yards.
mhm.
Attaboy.
um Speaking of Jalen Hurts, though, the Eagles lost an absolute thriller to the Seahawks last night.
Dude, what a
um
game.
you know,
What a game.
the Seahawks get the ball with less than 2 minutes to go. I guess it was right at the 2 minute warning when they got the punt return, and they just moved the ball. Mr. Drew Lock, who nobody thought would even really do much against the Eagles, who have been, just historically this season pretty good team, and he moved that ball like crazy down the field,
Mm-hmm.
hit Smith and Jigba for a great long touchdown pass to seal the victory with about 28 seconds left or so, and that was amazing. DK Metcalf also played amazing to get some really key passes to move the ball down the field, and it was awesome to see that drive. It was just so cool.
Yeah. And he was pretty emotional. Drew Lock after the game. I don't know if you saw the interview, but he's very emotional.
Yeah,
You
I
haven't
mean, I
heard
would
much
be
about Drew
too. They
Lock,
trusted
have
him.
you?
They trusted him over Geno Smith. Geno being their starter for most of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and they just slide Drew Lock in, even with Geno Smith healthy and active, and he comes in and does what a seasoned vet would do.
And Geno Smith is like the king of backup quarterbacks, right? So I
I
would put him
mean,
up there in the echelon with like Jameis Winston as
fair,
king of second stringers.
fair, but he got them to the playoffs last year as a starter.
Yeah, yeah,
He hasn't been too bad as of recent years, but they're I'm sure going to go with Drew Lock for the next remainder of the
probably.
games
If
this
it ain't
season.
broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But that has big implications because, like I said, the Eagles now no longer have the tiebreaker over the Cowboys, even though they're both 10-4. I think the third tiebreaker actually measures their common opponents, and the Cowboys beat the Seahawks earlier this season. If it goes to the next tiebreaker, it would be the cumulative record of against NFC opponents. That would be like the fourth tiebreaker. But it looks like as of right now, the Cowboys have the tiebreaker over the Eagles, and the Eagles look very human lately, losing 3 games straight. Has a Super Bowl winning team ever lost 3 games straight in the season? I don't know. Probably not. But we're journalists. We're not math people. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a good look though. So
No.
if you're an Eagles fan, you're probably down very bad this morning. Sorry to all of you, but Been there, done that. Bought the T-shirt as a Cowboys fan. Speaking of being down bad for a very long time, except as of lately, the Browns pulling it off. Joe Flacco, Mr. Fountain of Youth himself. It used to be Tom Brady, but I'm convinced it's now Joe Flacco. Let's see Tom Brady. Let's see Tom Brady get off the couch and get back in and win a game like that. And then I'll say he's the Fountain of Youth. It's Joe
I think
Flacco.
I'd probably kill myself if Tom Brady unretired again.
Again, and then filmed another crying retiring video.
Yep. He would just go in there, try to play, probably get sacked, break every bone in his body, and then kiss his son on the lips after.
Yeah. You don't see Joe Flacco doing that, and the man's winning games. The Browns all of a sudden look pretty darn good. And do they have their quarterback of the future? Maybe of the season. Maybe one more season is in old man Joe Flacco, but he looks good, man. He's what is he now? Like, he must be like 40, 50 even.
Yeah, I think he's what, like 38, 39?
Yeah, 38. Yeah. But other than that, Browns pull out a big win over the Bears, who was actually trending up with Justin Fields. The Bears were starting to look like they had a little bit of momentum. They were looking like, hey, man, Justin Fields is actually a guy that we can move forward with.
Yeah, it goes back and forth every week, I feel like. And I feel bad for Justin Fields because I feel like it's not necessarily him. I feel like their O-line has a lot of problems, and that seems to be like the Achilles heel, obviously, to a lot of struggling teams with young quarterbacks, because like if you don't have the time to pass out there or even run like as Justin Fields would probably do, like you can't really do much. So, and Justin Fields is just in a bad situation because he wasn't a part of, like, he wasn't a pickup that came from the current administration of like the front office in Chicago. And so like probably a regime change, era change means that they would be looking for like, another lead guy as opposed to him. But I feel like he's good. It's just like, I don't know. There's something not going right out there.
Yeah. They have, so yeah, he had, let's see, what did he have? 19 for 40, 166 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. That's not going to win you many games, especially when you're going against Mr. Time himself.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco. He has now stolen that title from Tom Brady, in my opinion. But dude, the Browns are 9-5. Was that on your bingo card when the season started?
Definitely not. Or even if it was, I feel like they would have. To me, I thought that they could have, but I thought it would be a similar record with Deshaun Watson at the helm, as opposed to Joe Flacco. I'm sure like in the future, they won't necessarily roll out Joe Flacco as like the number one option just because of how old he is. But
hey man,
I could have never predicted this at the beginning of the season. I don't think anybody would have.
He threw 374 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 3 interceptions, but the defense came up big and held the Bears to only 17 points. This is one of my favorite stories, I think. I love seeing a guy like Joe Flacco, who notoriously, like throughout his career, could not have cared less about the game of football. At least it seemed like that way from the outside. I'm sure other people on the inside would say otherwise. But from the outside, it seemed like he just did not care. And here he is coming back, just off the couch, winning games in the NFL. That's freaking awesome. 9-5. I'm rooting for the Browns.
They could come out of this season with definitely a guaranteed 11 wins. They're not going to be super tested coming up here. They play the Texans this week. Obviously, with Case Keenum at the helm, I'm sure. I don't know if CJ Stroud would be ready to come back. And then the Jets, who, needless to say, are struggling. So that's gonna be should be a cakewalk for them. I'm sure he'll throw some picks out there, but they'll probably come out of that with the win. And then the Bengals to end off the season, who have Jake Browning at the helm, but that might not be a guaranteed win, but it's definitely a winnable game for them.
Dude, 11-win season, and your quarterback is not Deshaun Watson. I did not
potentially 12 wins.
Potentially 12. So let's see. In the AFC North, they're obviously right behind the Baltimore Ravens, who are sitting at 11-3. Right behind them, they have the Bengals. So actually, when they play the Bengals last game of the season, that's going to be a huge matchup.
That's going to be huge, but I can't imagine they would miss the playoffs if they have 11 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd imagine that like the Bills would probably also have 11 wins, and they let's just say both of these teams have 11 wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're both third in their division. Does that mean that they could both make the playoffs as wild cards with being third in their division?
Uh,
I don't know if that's ever happened
five-head
before.
wine glass. I don't know. My brain isn't big enough to figure that out right now. I have to play
You've
with the
had
playoff
one
machine.
glass.
Yeah, okay. I have to play with the playoff machine. I really don't know. But the AFC, there's only one team that is locked into the playoffs right now, and it's the Ravens. That's crazy, right? We already have 3 teams in the NFC, in the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, but there is only one team in the AFC. You still have the Dolphins, who are 10-4. You have the Chiefs at 9-5. You have the Jags at 8-6. You have the Browns at 9-5. The Bengals at 8-6, and the Colts at 8-6.
Wow.
I, dude, they're gonna have to go down to like 5 or 6 tiebreakers at that point.
And
I don't
and
even know.
notice how so many of these teams don't have their starting quarterbacks. The Bengals don't have Joe
Mm,
Burrow.
is that the strat?
The Browns don't have don't have Deshaun Watson. The Colts don't have Anthony Richardson. They have Gardner Minshew.
The Jags have one half brain Trevor Lawrence right now because he's so concussed because his O line isn't helping him.
This is like a very weird like season for the NFL, at least on the AFC side.
And the AFC side, yeah, it was looking like the NFC was like you win the NFC and you're going to win the whole thing. But there, all it takes is one team, man. The
In
Ravens right
years
now look really
past,
good.
that's not really been true though. Like
No, it
it's
hasn't.
obviously the
He's-
Chiefs like out there is, but like you, if the Chiefs
yeah,
come out of the AFC, they're gonna win it all. But
there was no real contenders though, and it was looking like Cowboys were a juggernaut, the Eagles were a juggernaut, and so were the 49ers. But they're not looking like it anymore. And all of a sudden, the AFC is looking pretty strong. Even the Bills at 8-6 had a huge showing against the Cowboys. These last 3 weeks are going to have huge implications across the league, or at least across the AFC, at least.
yeah,
Every game matters. And I'm rooting for Joe Flacco, old man himself, Mr. Time Machine.
yeah,
What else happened? Texans, speaking of the AFC, speaking of mediocre AFC games, Texans squeak out an ugly win against the Titans. Without CJ Stroud, though, that's pretty big. They won in overtime.
yep.
I thought
With
this
Case
game was
Keenum, which
Case
is
Keenum.
super interesting, but don't expect them to do that every week coming out here with the remainder of the season. I mean, they they had a good game. That's all I'll
They
say
did.
about it.
I thought I thought this was gonna end in a tie, honestly, and I was kind of hoping it would have. That's such a Texans Titans score. Can you imagine that ending in a tie?
Yeah, that
That's so on
definitely
brand.
would be on brand for both teams, and the Titans. They're not the strongest team, so like I said, I wouldn't buy too much into like this whole idea that the Texans can win without CJ Stroud.
And I think so. After the actually here's some juicy stories. The Titans wore the throwback Houston Oilers jersey, right? The uniform, I guess their old uniform, right? And they did it purposely against the Texans. Well, after the Texans win, they completely knocked out the Titans of playoff contention. They're out. I
Yeah,
think they get the title of wearing that jersey from now on.
fair enough, but
That's very
that's
controversial.
really like old school beef that I'm not super interested in, just because neither of these teams like have really rich histories. I feel like
Mhm.
of like
Yeah.
historical winning, so
I
it's
mean,
kind of like whatever.
other than the location of the teams,
Yeah.
but yeah. As far as like actual in play in the season, yeah, you're probably right. There's probably going to be a bunch of old people yelling at Rain who get really upset at us for saying that.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's face it, Texans Titans is that getting Kelly Clarkson to sing the intro, to the football night in America? No, that's not a primetime game. But the Texans are moving towards the playoffs, even without CJ Stroud. So that's pretty cool. Tank Dell is out, unfortunately. So they're really playing with their second and third stringers and their next man up mentality performing. They're still in it. They're still in the hunt. Let's see what else. What else happened, dude? That's just struggle bus across the AFC, man. Chiefs. Chiefs are down bad. Taylor Swift was down bad. Did you see her? Did you see her in the
Yeah,
stands? She was so
yeah.
upset that Travis Kelsey didn't get that pass interference call.
She's probably gonna break up with him after that. I don't know.
Or she's gonna write a song about the refs. Honestly, everybody's expecting she's gonna write a song about Travis Kelsey. I think she's gonna write a song about the refs. They still squeak out a win. Well, I wouldn't say squeak out. They beat the Patriots 27-17. They still did not look good. Drop passes.
Yeah, I mean it was against the Patriots at the end of the day, so not super impressive,
Can't look
but
into that. Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least it gave them a little like a morale boost to like
Mm-hmm.
going into this final stretch of the season. I feel like.
And Kadarius Toney, man, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if you saw that. He was pissed. That's the first time I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes, Mr.
Oh my,
Motto Mahomes, upset at one of his teammates.
oh my word, Kadarius Toney is so very bad.
He just, I don't know, dude. How do you make it in the league and you just make all those mistakes?
Seriously, I mean, like, I want a
Do you think he's
stat
paid off?
of
Do you
how
think he was
many
paid off by
like.
somebody?
No, I don't think so. But like, I want a stat of like how many times Kadarius Toney has like bobbled the ball and it's been picked off.
Or lined up, dude. I actually saw a video like on X, formerly known as Twitter, or whatever, that Kadarius Toney was lining up offsides like that whole game last week, or
Yeah,
when was it?
yeah, and the
He was
thing is
lining up
so
the
wild
whole time.
because like the ref usually tells you if you're offsides
Right,
before the
right.
play,
Uh-huh.
like we at any level of football.
Yeah.
And I saw this actually in the Jets versus Dolphins game because a lot of players do this. I think it was Robbie Anderson formerly, but now Robbie Chosen. He lined up offsides and the ref was like chirping at him, telling him, "You're offsides, you're offsides." And he just wasn't even looking at the ref, wasn't paying attention, just looking at the ball the whole time, which is
Mhm.
what you should do if you're onside. But like then they get, an offside call at the end of the play and everybody's all surprised. It's like, how hard is it? Just
Dude, I know.
put your foot behind the ball.
Dude, honestly, in their defense, some of those plays in the NFL are like such weird names and they're so long that 99% of my brain would probably be just trying to figure out what play they just called, and I
No,
wouldn't I
yeah.
wouldn't even consider where I'm lined up.
Yeah, obviously. But like step one is obviously line up,
Just line
look at
up.
the ref, put your thumb up, and he gives you the thumbs up back.
Yeah, that's a bro move. But dude, even okay, let's like say he lines up perfectly. The guy just does stuff that, like, it looked like he handed that ball. I don't know if you saw the interception. He just like handed the ball to the defense. He like popped it up enough times. He like popped it up once to try to catch it. And then he was like, "Oh shoot, the Patriots defense can't catch it. Let me pop it up again." And it's like
He
he looked back and he's like, "Y'all good? You got this one?" And they're like,
yeah,
"Yeah, we're good. We got
he's
it."
done that several times this season.
Hmm.
And that was the big like that was the whole thing at the beginning of the season when they lost against the Packers and everybody was like, oh my god, the Packers just beat the Chiefs because Kadarius fucking Toney like bobbles the ball into the cornerback's hand. It's like, what are you doing? Just fucking catch the ball. This is
I
your
know.
job.
Maybe he should play corner, or
Potentially, yeah.
those who can't catch play corner? Question mark. I don't know. Not really, but
I wish I could
sometimes.
pull it up now, but Sleeper on the fantasy app Sleeper has now changed Kadarius Toney's like profile picture to like him in like a demon costume.
What? Dude, honestly, like I said, in their defense, I don't know if you've seen his like official pictures, but he's always in like like one of those ski mask looking things that players wear sometimes, and he's
Yeah,
smiling like it's like a weird smile, like an
they
Oompa
like
Loompa.
they photoshopped though a full like demon like
Oh, really?
cosplay type situation onto him,
They didn't have
like
to
on
get
his
dirty like
profile
that.
picture. Just like, and the only other time I've seen them do something like that is when Travis Kelsey started dating Taylor Swift, so they changed his profile picture to Taylor Swift on
Nice. That's
Sleeper.
classy. That's
I don't know
classy.
who, I don't know who their like sneaky little
It's an
like
intern, dude.
yeah over
Gotta be an
there
intern.
is who's doing that, but like it's a gold mine because it's just such an Easter egg when you like basically come to find that on the sleeper app because they obviously don't like tweet that out that they do that or
No,
anything. It's just
no,
like
it's for
there.
sure an intern. Speaking of interns, we're still hiring an intern for doing our graphics and stuff. It is unpaid, but I'll give you
You
the
get the
login
experience
to
of working with
my
two
Disney
men of
Plus.
business.
Yeah, or whatever, or just some armchair fans. I'll give you my login to Disney Plus if you can be our intern and do graphics for us. How about that? Other than that, dude, it's just a struggle bus in the AFC. Honestly, if you're not the Ravens, I think that's pretty much it though. Struggle bus for the Cowboys, struggle bus for the Eagles. 49ers are probably just gonna absolutely schwack every other team remaining. And then I already see it. Cowboys are going to win the first game. They're going to win the second game. Jerry Jones is going to say some cute little stuff and say, it's our year. And the 49ers are just going to bop us over the head, as Zeke would say, for a 40 piece and send us packing. And it's the same old story. Same old
If you
story.
go to any like bar in Texas on a Sunday night, you'll just see waves of white
Of down
Cowboys
bad.
jerseys out there, like Dak Prescott jerseys,
Yep.
just like all just super shocked and disappointed and crying
Heads
themselves.
hanging, just low, just down bad, just bad vibes. Yeah. Yep. Been there. Other than that, dude, I think that's pretty much it for the NFL. That's all we wanted to talk about in a little short episode. But let's move to the NBA. And I brought it up last episode where we had our guest episode with Zeke and Austin. If you haven't checked that out, you should definitely check that out. It was an awesome episode. Definitely our longest one. So just put it on with the Ewell Fire log loop on YouTube and just have some good vibes. But brought it up. Spurs losing streak ends at, what was it, like 18 games, something stupid.
Yeah.
To LeBron James. Wemby 1, LeBron 0. How does that make you feel as a lisexual?
I'm not upset about it.
We
Just
didn't have 3
because
starters.
three starters were out, including Anthony Davis.
It's the NBA, dude. They're all professionals. They got to win.
Any given night next enough. Fair enough. I mean, I'm not worried. We're still gonna make the playoffs.
Nah, I'm not. Well, I'm not worried for y'all, but I'm not worried for us either. At every now and then, you gotta win one game, one for the vibes, and two to make it seem like you're not tanking, even though it's clear we're tanking already. You still gotta win one every now and then. You can't finish the season with 3 wins,
I mean, I'm okay with it. I'll let y'all bask in the small victories.
The small victory is getting the first draft pick again. That's a small victory. That's the victory I'm going for. But that's all I wanted to cover is rip to the lisexuals. I think Wemby is actually out. They're playing tonight. Let me double check. He may be on load management. They're playing the Bucks.
The current point line for that is minus 16.5.
I would take it. Spurs all the way. Let's see. I think he's out. So if you bought tickets to that,
then I would take that Buck spread for anybody out there. Honestly.
Yeah, Wemby's out, and they just announced that pretty recently. So
it's going to be a whole lot more than 16.5 points. Is going to be that point differential. In other news around the league, big one, Draymond Green situation. Currently suspended indefinitely from the NBA after his altercation with Yusuf Nurkic on an inbound play. He was getting a little bit bodied up, down low. Not Pause. Yeah. Yes. Play. So, and Draymond Green allegedly he claimed that it was an accident and that he was getting grabbed on the arm by Yusuf, and he just basically spins around in a whole 180 direction from like where logically he would get out of that and just whacks him in the face.
Dude does better acting than like Harry Styles, honestly. Which isn't hard, but
and this is following within like the past couple of weeks of him putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. And
that should have been. I mean, nobody said, "Hey, maybe we should get him counseling after that."
Well, he has a huge history of doing this. It started out as him like accidentally, quote unquote, like kicking people in the balls a bunch.
Yeah. Let
Um,
me accidentally put you in a headlock. Oops,
and then it
sorry.
moved on to more nefarious, egregious
Mm,
crimes being committed of
mhm,
assault, which is the only
mhm.
proper word to describe that. And then last season in the playoffs, he basically curb stomped Demontis Sabonis on the ground
Oh my
like
gosh,
a
dude.
few times. That didn't get him suspended, got him
Mm-mm.
fined, I think. And then this year, the chokehold on Rudy Gobert, 2 weeks later, turns around and just whacks Yusuf Nurkic in the face, on top of the fact that he basically several years ago, essentially with his locker room troubles, made KD leave the Warriors. And then following that, a few years later, punched Jordan Poole in the face. So
A man on his own team.
brief history and timeline for those who don't know of Draymond Green's antics. He has currently started his counseling, league mandated, expected to miss at least 3 weeks, could be more.
What do
But
you think that
there,
looks like? To be a fly on that wall. You think they just like put him with the therapist and that's it?
um, I
And
don't
just like
know.
let's talk about your feelings?
I don't know. Like, I don't know how receptive he would even be to that type of conversation. Like,
He probably put the guy in a chokehold
he
or a
doesn't
girl.
seem like the most upstanding citizen to be like, I did wrong. I'm going to seek help.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. In fact, when he was answering the question about why he like smacked him in the face, he he said that he was trying to sell a foul or something, right? He's like he didn't apologize or anything for it.
I think
Not that
he
I knew of.
I
Did
think he
he?
was like, I'm sorry, but like it was an accident.
Yeah. See
But
that's
this is the first time out of all of his altercations that he's ever apologized, even in the slightest. Like he said he said something along the lines of, I'm sorry, and you know that I'm actually sorry for this because, or you know that it was actually an accident this time because I'm saying sorry.
Oh my gosh, dude. I don't buy it.
Which is
Sorry.
basically like
I don't
a
buy it.
kid beating up a bunch of kids in school, and then next thing you
Yeah.
know, he like, I don't know, like brings a knife to school and actually
Oh, whoa,
does
whoa,
some
whoa.
damage, and he's like, oh, this time I'm sorry, it was an accident.
Yeah, the dude's like what, 45 years old now? He's got to start acting like it, man.
Yeah, it's wild. And so it's looking pretty likely that, with the trade deadline coming up after these few weeks have passed, maybe he gets cleared, that the Warriors are looking to move on from him. His counting stats haven't been good for a long time. Um,
Mhm.
obviously, his defense usually is something that, and his physicality, his intimidation on like the other team's best player is going to be something that is like an intangible benefit of having Draymond Green.
Mhm.
It's what led them to a lot of championships without his counting stats being there. But
Speaking of which, dude, do you think the 3-point streak that like I mean Curry just ended his 268 game point of having of scoring a three-pointer ended the other night. Do you think that had something to do with it? The vibes are
uh,
down?
I mean, the vibes have been down for the Warriors all year.
Mhm.
They're just struggling to get anything together, and this is just isn't going to do anything for that. Um, the other day, they started Brendan Podziemski, who was their draft pick coming out of this season, and they also started Jonathan Kuminga, who was a young up and comer that never had gotten really too much run with the Warriors, and now they're looking to slide in some of their younger guys. I think they're going to be looking to basically accept the fact that their season's not going to be ending in a championship run. Um, so there are now
I had some
odds.
breaking news. Sorry. Sorry, you want to go ahead or do you want me to send the breaking news? No, you
Well,
go ahead. You finish.
the
Let's
odds on teams to trade for Draymond Green after the deadline, the top teams are the Dallas Mavericks at plus 210 and the Los Angeles Lakers at plus 300. Following that, it's like plus 500 on Cavaliers, Pacers, Kings, Pistons, 76ers, Spurs. So basically, all that's to be said about that is that basically it's looking likely that Draymond Green is not going to be a Golden State Warrior after the trade deadline.
Hmm.
Go
Where do
ahead.
you think he'll let's leave our viewers in suspense a little bit. Where do you think he's gonna end up? Or is he gonna end up anywhere? Or is he just the problem
I
case?
think I think he'll be traded, but I don't think they're going to get too good of a package
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
They're going to get some assets, maybe quote unquote assets, but not
Mm.
what they're going to want. and
Right.
he's got a big contract that's just like not looking to be a good thing to take on as a team. It's going to be a liability to take on that big of a contract for what he does, counting stats wise. But he's going to help a pseudo contender or like vying contender to basically get some physicality out there.
In other news, going back to football, the greatest thing ever invented by man, God's game himself. Sources are saying UTSA star quarterback Frank Harris is considered unlikely to play against Marshall in the Frisco Bowl tonight. A final decision isn't expected until after warmups, but he's dealt with a multitude of injuries this year. That's coming from Pete Thamel.
See, that's even that headline, that story doesn't sit well with me, because what does that even mean? Unlikely. Like, it's still not
It
certain or
means unlikely.
definitive. It's still not anything. That's what's pissing me off about all of
No,
this.
dude. I'm just the messenger. I don't know. I don't know if maybe he has a tummy ache or he just wants to see McCown. That's BS. This is his last game. I don't know, dude. He must have like stepped on a Lego or something brutal, something season ending, because he would never miss a game. And he would never miss a last game too of his whole collegiate career. That's
And the
crazy.
thing is, he's traveled with the team. Everything's
Yeah,
been looking good. They had a
wearing a
walkthrough
cowboy hat.
practice. That's
Yep,
all. And
yep.
he was in the press conference last night.
Yeah, wearing a cowboy hat.
Like, why?
That means
What's
vibes
going
are up.
on here?
I don't know, dude. But one of our buddies actually pointed out, I think it was Zeke who I mentioned was on the episode our episode 8. He mentioned that he rewatched the interview, I guess the pregame interview or whatever, where Jeff Traylor was up there, and I think Rashad Wisdom and Frank Harris. And I'm trying to find it, but one of the reporters asked the team what it was like to practice at the Star in Dallas, or the Dallas area. And Frank Harris said, I'm just going to piggyback off what they said. They covered it pretty well, referring to what Rashad Wisdom said in response to that question. So he didn't even really comment on what it was like to practice in the Star. So shout out to our boys Zeke and Austin for breaking that news to us.
Which
But
kind of
just got a
makes
little
me upset,
sidetracked.
because like it seems like he's yanking our chain here. If
Dude,
he
I would
doesn't
too if
play,
I played 7 years. I would too. I'd be like, yeah,
look, I
I
understand, but like it's
I
just
want to
it's
feel
good.
important.
I'm gonna be upset if I don't see him out there
Dude,
tonight,
if Frank Harris doesn't play, I'll be more than upset. I don't know what I'm going to do.
especially if we lose.
Don't talk like that. Don't say that.
Okay, sorry, I'll go time out.
Speaking of which, you should definitely smash the under with that news coming out before all the sports betting apps
Yeah,
take that into consideration if they haven't already.
yeah, totally fair.
Maybe slam the Marshall plus 11. Who knows?
It's +8 now, but
Oh, the market's correcting. Nature's healing.
+7 now.
Oh God, nature's healing. Whatever. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Either way, I'm gonna enjoy it. If we get to see young gun Owen McCown, I'll be happy with that too. The guy's just full of life, full of energy. Can run
Wait,
the
this
ball.
doesn't make any sense, bro. I
What?
it
Don't
says
don't no more
here
bad news today, please.
under 47. I would bet $5 and win 454.
Dude,
That doesn't make
bet it now.
No, I would. My payout would be $4.54. It's less than
Oh,
I bet.
yeah, isn't that right? I don't know. I can't do numbers right now. It's the end of the day.
Yeah, he had a glass of wine.
I know, dude. Yeah, I had a glass of wine and shook it around with a pumpkin spice latte and drank whatever was in that cup. I regret it. I'm kidding. But if we lose, I'll do it. I'll do it. Nothing will matter if we lose this game. Looking for our first bowl win. I think we talked enough about Draymond Green. I don't really want to talk anymore about him because it's going to get me upset when I think of Zaza Pachulia, the clown.
Yeah.
The original little Warriors demon himself, who is responsible for the Kawhi Leonard closeout foul now.
Yeah.
I
Well, we
probably
have
did.
some other NBA trade rumors going along here,
Mhm.
swirling around. The first being Zach LaVine, obviously the most sought after guy on the market right now, seems to have played his last game for the Bulls a couple weeks ago. He is out on quote unquote injury. So my idea is that they just don't want him to get injured
Mhm.
prior to the people being eligible to be traded December
Like
15th and
dude, that's
January 15th.
like a farm animal, dude. It's like we don't want our biggest pumpkin to get to be out in this thunderstorm. Let's bring it
Yeah,
inside so that we
yeah,
can sell it for more.
yeah. I mean, if he gets any sort of injury, he's not allowed to be traded. So that's probably where they're thinking is at. And I heard a conspiracy theory. I think like on one podcast I was watching. I think it was the Kenny Beecham podcast, but he said that his belief is that, and he's like a lifelong Bulls fan. His belief is that a deal has already kind of been verbally agreed to, but
Mhm.
because players on that team, whoever the receiving team is, basically haven't been eligible to be traded yet. Like December 15th is when the contracts start being
Mhm.
eligible to be traded, and then January 15th after that is that basically like they won't say it, but a deal has already
It's
been
already been done.
essentially been agreed to. Yeah.
Didn't we report this? Well, not report, talk about it like on one of our first episodes that Zach Levine was probably going to get traded. I feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and now those rumors are just stronger as ever.
mm, mm.
But they're
Hey, man.
not gonna like the Bulls are in a point of like zero leverage essentially because they're guys like Zach Levine, DeMar DeRozan. These are guys that are on big contracts that are essentially like are seen as negative assets.
Mm,
So like even though they bring like some production, they're seen as like, oh, they're risks to take on basically. So they're not
yeah,
going to get the packages back that they want. Their highest value trade piece is definitely Alex Caruso, who's on a great
a
contract,
bald eagle.
and he's having like one of the best seasons of his career.
Yeah, good for him.
So
And in
it's going to be
product.
interesting to see what they get back. But Alex Caruso will be the guy that gives them the most return, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, this dude, the Spurs could trade half their team and like 10 freaking draft picks over the next few years and still have a plethora of resources if they wanted to go after Zach Levine, have a more veteran guy to help
Yeah,
them.
I mean, I could definitely see that for the Spurs, and it's not really super no risk for them, or
Mhm.
not really super like a whole lot of risk for them because they would be bringing on a go-to scorer,
Yeah.
which is definitely needed on a team like that. And I could definitely see like a Keldon Johnson who's looking for a
Yeah.
different start being a guy that like would be a decent like swap for that.
Even maybe we could throw in like Zach Collins. I don't know.
Yeah, like a Keldon Johnson, Zach Collins, and like
Yeah.
some like a
Maybe like
couple
a draft pick
picks.
or two. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
I could
That'd be a
definitely see
cool
that
pick I'd
going
like to
on.
see.
Yeah, for sure. And
But we
like,
can't get carried away and start winning too many games here. We got to focus on the next draft pick too.
well, I'm going to be honest. I don't think Zach Levine is gonna win you guys
It's
too many
gonna.
games.
We're not gonna win the next 60 straight. You mean?
There's still the whole problem of y'all don't have a guy to pass them the ball. So
That's not a problem. Just give it to Wimby. That's the one guy you should be passing it to. I'm kidding. 4-21. That's the Spurs right now, which is crazy. I just realized we're like a third of the way through the season almost. That was quick. That was really quick.
yeah, flies by.
So what's going on with Laurie Markkinen and John Collins? A couple other
They're
guys.
also highly talked about trade candidates. Laurie Markkinen, he had an All-Star season last year. He's kind of pittered down a little bit this year, but he's still a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
7 foot, small forward. And, so there's obviously a lot of versatility out there. And supposedly John Collins, who's been having a really good season for the Jazz. And by the way, like just for betting purposes goes, like I've hammered down John Collins 1+3 pointer made every single game, and it's cash almost every time, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So he's having a great season for them, shooting the ball well. But apparently, there's been a report randomly that the Jazz are their front office is fed up with John Collins for some reason. So I don't know what's going on there. So I think they're looking to move on and like sell those assets when like cash those out when they have the chance right now before it gets any worse. I don't know
So this
what's going on back there, but
buy high solo.
yep. And then we have from the Raptors, OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam, who are hot in the
Mm-hmm.
market right now. Also unclear what these teams will get back in terms of assets returned, but they're great players that deserve to be contending and not on a team like the Raptors or the Jazz. Lastly, Bojan Bogdanovic is having one of the best seasons of his career, and he's playing really well, producing a lot for the Pistons, but the Pistons look like the worst team of all time. So they're definitely going to be looking to sell him where they can. I think he's like 32 years old, 34 years old right now. So it's not much that they can get back for him, but if they can get anything back for his production right now, they should definitely sell while they can.
Mm-hmm. And then Bogdanovich, you just talk about him, or have we talked about him yet?
Yep.
All right, cool. I think we pretty much worked through everything. I was looking while you were talking about that. I was actually looking to see with Tommy Cutlets himself, going back to football, Tommy DeVito, the man himself, the king of New Jersey, and his agent, Sean Stellato, probably the most Italian people you'll ever see in your entire life outside of The Godfather. Some news swirling around that the agent doubled the price for this small business pizzeria that they were going to have a deal with after the win that the Giants got.
Oh yeah, he like raised his price.
Yeah. But anyway, that's pretty much it, man. I think that what we wanted to do today was just have a little episode. Dog's gonna be a little quicker, but wanted to check in and preview the UTSA game, preview some of the NFL playoff picture going into next week. But we'll be back pretty soon if Kyle's voice heals.
Yes.
Go eat some lozenges. I don't know how you say that. Cough drops and rub some Vicks all over you. Head to tippy toe, man.
Guess what? I'm having mini weenies for dinner for tonight to go along with the game.
What?
Mini
What?
weenies.
Mini wheats? What do you mean?
Mini weenies.
What is that? Is that what I think it is?
Pigs in a blanket.
Oh, okay.
Mini
That's
weenies.
not what I thought it was, but yeah, you could have just said pigs in a blanket. Those are a vibe though. Dude, what's the difference between those and kolaches? Are those just baby kolaches?
Those are baby kolaches.
Did
I
we
don't
just
think
expose the industry.
I think kolaches are only really like a Texas thing though, for the
Really?
most part. Like
No way.
I haven't seen kolaches like anywhere besides Texas.
What kind of kolache is a German name? I think the German
Is
dialect.
it? I thought it was Hispanic.
No, dude. Kolache? I don't know. Either way, pigs in a blanket, I guess it's just a baby kolache. Texas sausage kolaches.
Yeah, but like
Stick.
pigs in a blanket are like a classic football food. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Mini weenies, I don't know if I'd call it that.
that's what I call them.
Okay. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for us. Yep, UTSA just moved to -7.5. Oof, man. All right. Well, we'll see how they do. Probably without Frank Harris tonight against the Thundering Herd. It should be a good game either way.
Yep. Fingers crossed, everybody.
Fingers crossed. Excited to go into some pivotal 3-week stretch we have in the NFL with huge playoff implications every single game, at least in the AFC, but also at the top 3 in the NFC too. Looking forward to it. Anything else you got, Kyle?
Nope. Just to close out with the fact that Matthew Paez in chat called us the 2 hottest men on YouTube right now.
That boy. Shout out to Matthew Paez. He was one of our most loyal listeners.
All right, boys. Signing
All right.
off.
With that being said, we'll see you next time.